Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and completely shatter basically everything you think you know about how the wealthy actually live. We're going to capture the absolute essentials of the famous book, The Millionaire Next Door, in 8 minutes or less. So, when you picture a millionaire, you're probably imagining sprawling mansions, flashy imported sports cars, maybe designer clothes, right? Well, the research we're breaking down today proves that image is, frankly, a Hollywood illusion. Over decades of surveying America's affluent, the hard data reveals that true wealth is rarely flashy. Like, literally, the people with the most money are often the ones you'd least expect. So get ready to totally flip your perspective on what it actually means to be rich. Because the millionaire next door is probably someone who looks completely average but has secretly mastered the hidden rules of wealth.
Picture this. Two people are standing side by side. On the left, we've got a high-income trust officer. He's wearing a custom-tailored suit, checking the time on a gorgeous $5,000 watch, and he just parked a leased brand-new luxury import in the lot. Okay, now on the right, we have a blue-collar worker. He's wearing worn-in jeans, a buckskin shirt, and he just pulled up in a 10-year-old domestic sedan. He makes his living rebuilding large diesel engines. Just looking at them, who is actually wealthy? Like, who do you think looks more like a millionaire?
And right there, that perfectly illustrates our core illusion, doesn't it? While the trust officer absolutely looks the part, it's actually the guy in the 10-year-old car who holds the real wealth. The trust officer is essentially playing a role, spending heavily on the artifacts of success just to maintain a certain status. But the blue-collar business owner, he frankly couldn't care less about looking pretty. His business isn't glamorous, and neither is his wardrobe. Yet because he consistently lives below his means and smartly invests the surplus back into his business and real assets, he is the one who's actually a millionaire. There is this absolutely perfect Texas expression that sums this up. Big hat, no cattle. You know the type. People who display this high-consumption lifestyle, the giant hats, the custom boots, the flashy cars, but they often have little or practically zero actual investments. They're hyper-consumers. Sure, they look incredibly wealthy to the average observer, but if their income stream suddenly stops today, they wouldn't survive financially for more than a few months. They've got all the outward signs of wealth, but absolutely none of the substance backing it up. Which brings us to something foundational. Income and wealth, they are not the same thing. This is exactly where so many high earners get completely tripped up. Income is simply what you bring in each year. If you make a massive income, say $500,000 a year, but you spend $500,000 a year, you aren't getting wealthier. You're just living high. Wealth, on the other hand, is what you actually accumulate and retain. It's your net worth. It's the assets that grow quietly in the background and provide true financial independence without requiring you to clock in to work. Now, here is a really fun exercise. You can instantly calculate your own expected net worth right now just to see exactly where you stand. Here's the formula. Take your current age, multiply it by your pre-tax annual household income from all sources, excluding any inheritances, by the way, and then divide that whole number by 10. That final number is your expected net worth. So if you're 41 years old and making $155,000 a year, multiplying those gives you $6,355,000. Divide that by 10 and your expected net worth should be $635,500. So, have you hit your benchmark? That little equation basically divides everyone into two distinct camps. On one side, we have the PAWs, the prodigious accumulators of wealth. These are the absolute master builders of net worth. If your actual net worth is double your expected level from that last equation, boom, you are a PAW. On the flip side, we have the UAWs, the underaccumulators of wealth. If your net worth is only half of the expected level, you fall into this camp. UAWs, you guessed it, tend to live way above their means, prioritizing immediate consumption over long-term investment. Let's see how this plays out in the real world. Take Mr. Richards. He's a mobile home dealer making about $90,200 a year. He is a classic PAW, sitting on a net worth of $1.1 million. Now, compare him to Mr. Ford, an attorney making slightly more, right around $92,330 a year. Mr. Ford is a UAW, and his net worth is just $226,511. It's crazy. Mr. Richards actually has nearly 5 times the net worth of Mr. Ford, even though their incomes are basically identical. Why? Well, Mr. Ford, the attorney, feels this massive pressure to maintain an upper-middle-class status. So he buys the foreign luxury car, the country club membership, the expensive suits. Mr. Richards feels zero social pressure, which allows him to quietly and powerfully accumulate real wealth. Now, if you think wealth in America is mostly old money, inherited by descendants of the Mayflower, the numbers completely shatter that myth. A lot of people assume you need English ancestry to be rich here.
But get this, first-generation Russian, Scottish, and Hungarian immigrants actually have significantly higher concentrations of millionaires. A massive 22% of Russian households in America are millionaires, compared to only 7.7% of English households. This proves that the economy is incredibly fluid. The fortunes of today are being built right now, in this generation, by people who simply adopt the right habits, not inherited from centuries past. In fact, a staggering 80% of America's millionaires are first-generation rich.
So how exactly are 80% of America's first-generation millionaires pulling this off? Well, they strictly follow 7 common denominators. The absolute bedrock rule: living well below their means. They value true financial independence way more than displaying social status. They're also incredibly efficient with their time and money, meaning they aren't spending hours at a dealership haggling over a luxury car, they're spending those hours researching investments. And this is huge. They don't receive what the authors call economic outpatient care from their parents, and they ensure their own adult children become economically self-sufficient. It literally all centers entirely on discipline and frugality.
Which brings us to a kind of tough question, one that totally separates the real wealth accumulators from the high-income pretenders. Do you operate on an annual budget? The research shows that the vast majority of millionaires do exactly that. They meticulously plan their consumption spending. And hey, for the minority of millionaires who don't budget, they still succeed because they create an artificial environment of scarcity. They pay themselves first, meaning they invest a minimum of 15% of their income before they spend a single dime on anything else. Either way, they maintain absolute, total control over where their money goes.
It all comes down to offense versus defense, which is the true dynamic of wealth building. Earning a massive income, that's playing great offense, and it's fantastic. But without a great defense, meaning actually budgeting, being frugal, and strictly controlling your expenses, you're never going to accumulate lasting wealth. So many high-income earners, like doctors and lawyers, are amazing at offense, but their defense is terrible. They just let their lifestyle inflate right alongside their income. But millionaires, they play incredible defense. In fact, a household playing great financial defense can easily outscore a much higher-earning household that completely lacks discipline. Think of budgeting kind of like jogging. Have you ever noticed that the people you see out jogging every single day look like the ones who don't even need to jog? I mean, they're already fit. But that is exactly why they're fit. The exact same logic applies to building wealth. You might look at a millionaire and wonder, why on earth do they still bother budgeting? Why are they clipping coupons or shopping for bargains? Well, the wealthy are financially fit precisely because they maintain the discipline to plan and control their consumption every single day. They don't just stop doing the work because they achieve the result. The real millionaire next door is out there right now, completely skipping the luxury car dealership, updating their budget spreadsheet, and sleeping really soundly knowing they are truly financially independent. Wealth just isn't about what you show the world. It's about the deep security you build behind closed doors. So you've got to ask yourself, are you building an image of wealth or are you building actual freedom? Start playing financial defense today, and if you enjoyed this, subscribe to In 8 Minutes and never miss what matters.